Okay. So we are on page, what is this page? Kuf Nun Ches. Let me get my setup a little bit better here. All right, there we go. I think there's some thicker parts of this piece for today, but I don't know if it's here. It says, Ksiv, it's written like this, Kosov Pasuk, and there's a Pasuk in Tillim, Hamadaber B'darche, Hagas Ha'olam Ha'yidecha B'Kodesh Baruch Hu, Hashem runs the world, Tzadik and Mishpat, Machon Kitza'acha, this is the Pasuk. You have these two words, Tzadik Umash Mishpat, and then it says that's the place of your throne. So the preparation of your throne, putting your throne together. The So the idea of the throne, I guess it's setting this up, is the idea of what? He says through these two words, Tzedek Mishpat. Chesed ve'emes yakadmu panechu. Here's another one. So you have these two, one's called Chesed, the other one's called Emes. They could become before your face. So those two, Chesed and Emes, they should come first before you. So later on, Rebbe Shimon is going to come and say, according to the Sod, Tzedek Mishpat, Heim Partsufi Zer Anpin Malchus. That's what we're talking about. One is Tzedek, one's a Malchus. One is Tzedek, one is Mishpat. So Rebbe Zer Anpin, he says a Nikra Mishpat, Malchus Nikra Tzedek. So that's what it is. The way the world works is through the both of them. So he says the Fizen, according to this, Bira Pasuk Kachu. So this is how you should understand this pasuk. He said, "Should David HaMelech medaber b'Shabbos parts of Shvach, parts of Erich Anpin." He's really wanting to bring praise over here to Erich Anpin. Vomer the Erich Anpin, and he says to Erich Anpin, as if it was possible to say that, he says, "Tzedek Mishpat shehem zer Anpin uma v'nukva." Hey, machon kiza'acha. There, the place he says it meant preparation. Ki heim malbishim, as Erich Anpin, he says, what do? They cover over Erich Anpin. They clothe him. Minatiba lamata, from the tiba going down, which is sham ku makom Moshe va'adam alakisi, because that's where the man sits on his throne, down at the bottom. And so they're all the concept here, really, that is Tzadik and Mishpat. So Erich Anpin is way panimi, and the ultimate place where it winds up is in Tzadik and Mishpat. So he says, Erich Anpin, Hayoshev alakise koifech u'mamatek. So what is he? He humbles, he sweetens, as hadinim shel zer Anpin, the dinim of zer Anpin. And then what does that do for you? Dinim shel zer Anpin, v'amrach b'David HaMelech, od chesed ve'emes, shehem abba ve'ima. So then there's also chesed and emes, and those two words go along with abba in ima. Interesting. Ve'ima, yakad me'openecho, yakdim b'chol aras penecho. They should come first. That is chesed ve'mishpat, chesed ve'emes. He says that they should come first. Ki abba ve'ima makdimin l'kabel ha'aras panim shel Erich Anpin, before it comes to Zachar v'nuk kodem lahoyer l'zer v'nukva. Now let me see how I can get this better so I can see it better. It says man chakimin yistaka b'hai. So tell me someone who is so wise that he's able to look at, he's able to understand the Sod Pasuk Zeh. The Machmeh or Choy the Kedisha law. The Rose, what are we trying to say over here? Bo Darche Han Hago Shal Kodesh Baruch Hu, how Kodesh Baruch Hu runs this world. Shu Erich Anpin, and here he uses the word Kodesh Baruch Hu to refer to Erich Anpin. Hamanhig as olam ayedek bezer azer benok, and he really runs the world, but he runs it from the bottom through Zachar benok. Umistako v'yavim, and he looks out and he sees shekol hadinim haboim, that all of the dinim that are coming laolam ayedek zer anpin. In other words, they're dished out through zer anpin because he has an aspect that flows dinim. So dinim dikshut, so there's different kinds of dinim. There are dinim that are true. Heim dinim emes, ki heim meshutaf b'midas arachim nikra emes, because, let me just make sure I understand what he's talking about. He said, those dinim, there were dinim of truth that have to do, that tie themselves up with the middle line. Dinim de mis'atracha b'kisrei loyin. V'heim dinim a mis'atrin a mis'na. This nagim al yedech sephiros el yonos, that through the upper spheros, that causes them to work in a certain way. Shall Erich Anpin, ki Erich Anpin mislavish besocha kol, because it's inside of everything. So therefore, that's the string puller, so to speak. Hakol v'hakol malbishim al Erich Anpin. So everything is attached one way or another to Erich Anpin. The whole amina, because you say like this. He says, let's skip it. It said the kul butzinim naharacha bebutzini law. All of the candles. So he says shekol haneros shehem asfirish zer anpen. And let's talk about the vaka zer anpen. Meirim min haner ha'elyon shuhu Erich Anpin. The reason how they shine is because the light of Erich Anpin comes through to them. Tamirim, they're called Tamirim. Now, of course, Erich Anpin shuhu Ganos ba'Abba ve'ima, who is hidden inside of Abba ve'ima, shehem genuzim b'zer anpin, who are hidden inside of zer anpin v'nukva. Kulhu dargim le'isnahara. So v'kol ha'partzufim alomos heim b'seder b'shecha b'dargas shonas ba'ofen kabbalas or me'Erich Anpin. So all of them are in different levels, according to their ability to be able to become the light. Erich Anpin. He called parts of, one second, Yoser Elyon Mekabel Yoser or parts of Elyonim. So in other words, it's logical that the upper parts of Partsufim will handle more light than the lower Partsufim, because the whole exercise is to be mismayat the light. But the fact is that the upper Partsufim get a lot more light. Bahakul Nahara the Bekal Darga the Darga. Or shall Erich Anpin, Hameir Bekal Darga B'Darga, Darga that shines at every different level, Lefi Dargasa, according to the relative, in other words, the relative level that it's on, is Gala Bekal Darga Agilu HaMeyuchad Shayach La'osa Darga. That's what he wants to say. He says that they all receive what is specified to that particular level. Mad is Galia, so that revelation of light that is relevant to that darga. So there, in other words, it's a concept of the filter. This is that the only way that you get this light is from the parts that's up above you, and once again it betzamsen the light. But because of Erich Anpin, everything shines. So that light was shining in all of these different relative levels. What this light actually does is so it causes yichudim. It causes things to come together, become one. Ki or darga al yonit. When you talk about the darga al yonit, which is the darga most panimi, it's able to hold on to the level that's below it. In other words, it attaches to itself. Unahora, one second. So it says, and then you have lights, two different kinds of light shining at each other. So now you see the upper light, just like we see all the time with Abba Ve'ima inside of Zer Anpin. So we hear here the upper light is inside of the lower light. And once it's in there, then the lower light, which has a less amount of light, but though nonetheless it starts shining backwards towards its origin. So they start shining into each other, and they don't separate. The whole idea, the whole exercise is to make them to come together. They don't separate. Because of the fact that they're now exchanging lights between them. That's what causes them to cling together and to make in a union. So he said, "Nahora to call butzinin bebutzinin." Or shebekol ner v'ner. So the light that is in every one of the candles, the haina or hapanimi shuhu hamneshama shebetoch guf hakelim shel spheros. Let's just go over the words one more time. He says the hainu haor hapanimi. So we're saying that there's a light inside of the kalim. The kalims are vessels for holding the light. Shuhu haneshama. So this is the same concept. The word neshama refers to panemius. Shebesoch gufa kalim shalasferas, which is in the body of the kalim. So now we have the light coming into kalim. V'hu kadinyan haner shuhu hakli laor shebesocho lahaor. So we say like this. Now let's just think. Let me think about it. A candle is a vessel that holds the light that's in it. V'ikruhum tikuni malko, v'nikroim tikuni hamelach, and they're called the tikunim of the melech. So what is it that's called the tikkuning of the melech? Kli haspheros, because the vessels, in other words, that hold the light of the spheros, hamalvishim es or haspheros, heim hatikunim shall hamelech ha'elyon shuhu Erich Anpin. Now, what was the focus here? He says the kli of the spheros. They cover over the light, as we know, of the king. He says it was Erich Anpin. So he says, Keser Malka v'chaspiros ne'kwayim, those spheros, gam Keser hamelech, they're also considered to be the crown of the king. Why? I'm getting a little confused here, but let's try to see if we can salvage some of this. Hine call chad v'chad, call echad v'echad me'elach ha'oros ha'penimi. So now the lights that are inside of the spheros. He says, each one of them, shebetoch spheros, nahir v'achi b'hachu nahar de lago. It shines into it, makes a unity with that light that is in the most pneumistic position. Meir ba'achos, so it shines onto. So he's talking about the lower levels shining to the upper levels. Meir ba'achos ba'osach ba'or ha'penimish ba'penimim. In other words, Erich Anpin. Shuhu or ha'penimi shall Erich Anpin. So he's talking about the light inside of Erich Anpin, which is coming from the Mochstima or from higher places, from Atik Yamim. He says, Umeir besocha aras apinimim shall call apart spheros, and as a result of that it shine into the interior parts of the neshamos of all the spheros. Below misparshan labar. Vein or Erich Anpin mechape misparesh v'nivrad mechutz lachem. So the light of the Erich Anpin never leaves those spheros. It never separates itself from them. It's always there. So therefore, let's just work the words again. He said because of the fact that Erich Anpin is shining into all of these spheros, ultimately is the neshama. The ficho call us spheros nechshavim of nechshavim. So therefore, all of them tend to be moving into the same direction. He didn't say tens. He says that they're considered as if they're going up to the darga achas im Erich Anpin into the same level. In other words, they're moving up towards Erich Anpin. V'kula b'chad mila is atar. V'kula mis'atrim v'nekroim. So all of them are crowned. All of them are called to be the Nekroim Lichiyos Nechshav Davar Echad, as if it is one element, one thing. Below Misparish Dam B'Dam, there's no separations take place. Ihu V'Shmei Chadhu. This is the concept. Who? He had said before that who refers to Erich Anpin because it's undefined. He says the Hainu Erich Anpin. The Shema, this is something much more tangible.